What if I told you that economics isn't just about money, banks, or governments? It's about the choices you make every single day. From why prices rise, to why some countries are rich and others struggle, economics quietly shapes the world around you. But here's the truth. It's not complicated, it's just misunderstood. In this video, we're breaking down economics in the simplest way possible. No confusing jargon, no boring lectures, just clear, real-life examples that make everything click. Let's make economics finally make sense, for everyone. Today, we will talk about economics explained simply for everyone. So, before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. 1. What is economics and why it matters to everyone? Economics is often misunderstood as a complex subject filled with charts, formulas, stock markets, and government policies. But in reality, economics is simply the study of choices. At its core, economics examines how people, businesses, and governments make decisions when faced with limited resources. Every day, you practice economics without realizing it. When you choose between buying a coffee or saving that money, when a business decides how many employees to hire, or when a government allocates funds to healthcare instead of defense, economics is at work. The fundamental problem economics tries to solve is scarcity. The idea that resources such as time, money, labor, and materials are limited, but human wants are unlimited. Because we cannot have everything we want, we must make choices. And every choice has consequences. Understanding economics empowers individuals to make better financial decisions, understand global news, evaluate policies, and recognize how systems shape opportunities. It is not just a subject for economists. It is a life skill that helps you navigate the modern world intelligently and confidently. 2. The concept of scarcity and opportunity cost. Scarcity is the foundation of economics. No society, no matter how wealthy, has unlimited resources. Even the richest nations must decide how to distribute their resources effectively. Scarcity forces trade-offs, and this leads to the concept of opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is what you give up when you choose one option over another. For example, if you spend 2 hours watching a movie, the opportunity cost could be studying, working, or resting. In business, if a company invests money in developing a new product, the opportunity cost might be marketing an existing one. Governments also face opportunity costs when allocating budgets. Money spent on infrastructure cannot simultaneously be spent on education. Recognizing opportunity cost encourages rational decision-making. It reminds us that every decision carries hidden costs beyond the obvious financial expense. By understanding scarcity and opportunity cost, individuals can prioritize what truly matters, businesses can allocate resources efficiently, and societies can aim for balanced growth. 3. Supply and demand, the forces that shape prices. One of the most fundamental principles in economics is supply and demand. These two forces determine the price of almost everything in a market economy. Demand refers to how much of a product or service consumers are willing and able to buy at different prices. Supply refers to how much producers are willing and able to sell at different prices. When demand increases and supply remains constant, prices tend to rise. When supply increases and demand remains constant, prices tend to fall. This interaction creates what is known as equilibrium price, the point where supply equals demand. Consider seasonal fruits. When mangoes are in season, supply is high and prices fall. When they are out of season, supply drops and prices rise. This principle applies to housing, fuel, technology, and even labor. Supply and demand also explain inflation, shortages, and economic booms. Understanding these forces helps people anticipate market changes, evaluate business opportunities, and comprehend global price fluctuations in commodities such as oil or food. 4. Microeconomics. Understanding individual decisions. Microeconomics focuses on individual actors within the economy, consumers, workers, and businesses. It studies how they make decisions, how markets function, and how prices are determined. Microeconomics explains why companies compete, why monopolies can be harmful, and how wages are set. For example, when many businesses compete in a market, prices tend to be lower because companies must attract customers. But if one company dominates a market, it may charge higher prices due to lack of competition. Microeconomics also examines consumer behavior. Why do people prefer certain brands? How do advertising and incentives influence decisions? It explores elasticity, how sensitive demand is to price changes. If the price of essential medicine rises, demand may not fall significantly because people still need it. But if the price of luxury handbags rises, demand may drop sharply. Microeconomics provides insight into everyday economic interactions and helps policymakers design regulations that promote fairness and efficiency. 5. Macroeconomics, the big picture of the economy. While microeconomics looks at individual decisions, macroeconomics examines the economy as a whole. It focuses on large-scale indicators such as gross domestic product, GDP, inflation, unemployment, and economic growth. GDP measures the total value of goods and services produced in a country within a specific time period. A growing GDP usually signals economic expansion. Inflation refers to the rise in general price levels over time. Moderate inflation is normal, but high inflation reduces purchasing power and creates uncertainty. Unemployment measures the percentage of people actively seeking work but unable to find jobs. Macroeconomics also studies business cycles, periods of expansion and recession. Governments and central banks use tools like monetary policy and fiscal policy to stabilize economies. For instance, central banks may lower interest rates to stimulate borrowing and spending during a recession. Macroeconomics helps citizens understand national economic conditions and how policies influence employment, income, and living standards. 6. The role of governments and economic systems. Different societies organize their economies in different ways. The three primary economic systems are market economies, command economies, and mixed economies. In a market economy, decisions are largely driven by supply and demand with minimal government interference. In a command economy, the government controls major economic decisions such as production and pricing. Most modern countries operate under a mixed economy, combining elements of both systems. Governments play crucial roles in maintaining stability, enforcing laws, protecting property rights, and correcting market failures. Market failures occur when free markets fail to allocate resources efficiently. Examples include pollution, public goods, and monopolies. Governments may intervene by imposing taxes, subsidies, or regulations. For example, environmental regulations aim to reduce pollution that markets might otherwise ignore. Understanding the balance between free markets and government intervention helps citizens evaluate policy debates and recognize the trade-offs involved in economic governance. 7. Global economics and international trade. In today's interconnected world, no country operates in isolation. International trade allows nations to specialize in producing goods and services in which they have a comparative advantage. Comparative advantage means a country can produce a good at a lower opportunity cost than another country. By specializing in trading, countries can increase overall efficiency and wealth. For example, one country may excel in technology production, while another may specialize in agriculture. Trade enables both to benefit. However, global economics also involves complexities such as exchange rates, trade agreements, tariffs, and global supply chains. Currency values fluctuate based on demand and economic conditions, influencing imports and exports. Trade policies can protect domestic industries, but may also lead to higher consumer prices. Global events, such as financial crises or pandemics, can disrupt supply chains and affect economies worldwide. Understanding international economics reveals how deeply connected global markets are and how events in one region can impact livelihoods elsewhere. 8. Personal finance and applying economics to everyday life. Economics is not only about nations and corporations, it directly affects personal finance and daily living. Budgeting, saving, investing, and borrowing all involve economic principles. Interest rates influence loan payments and savings growth. Inflation affects the purchasing power of money over time. Risk and return guide investment decisions. When individuals understand economic fundamentals, they can make informed choices about careers, education, and consumption. For example, investing in education has an opportunity cost, but it may increase future earning potential. Diversifying investments reduces risk, reflecting the principle of not putting all resources in one place. Even understanding basic supply and demand can help consumers recognize fair pricing and avoid financial pitfalls. Ultimately, economics provides a framework for rational thinking. It teaches critical evaluation of choices, awareness of trade-offs, and long-term planning. When explained simply, economics becomes not a complicated theory, but a powerful tool for improving lives and shaping a better future for everyone. If you liked this video and would like to see more like it, please give it the thumbs up. Leave a comment and click the button to subscribe.